Hey guys, so today we're going to be learning how to draw a shoe. So the shoe I have right here is just a small tiny shoe from my niece. The goal is not to try and make a shoe the same size as your paper. Or rather, not to try to make the same exact size shoe. We want to make a shoe that's in proportion to this shoe. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make a line almost as big as your paper, so it's nice and big. Cap it off so you know where the beginning and end of your shoe is. Next thing you need to do is you need to find the halfway mark of this line. So I'm going to eyeball it first. Next, I need to measure it. One way to do that is you can use your pencil, measure it, see if it's the same. Another way is you can use your fingers. If you don't trust yourself using your fingers, use your pencil. So I like to measure twice to make sure. Mine, I need to move over just a little, adjust it as you need. Okay, now that we have found our halfway mark, this is what we're going to use to find every other measurement in our shoe. So I'm going to mark this as the bottom. This is going to be the end of my shoe. Okay, or let's call it the back of the shoe, and this is going to be the front. Okay, so now that we found the halfway mark of the shoe that we're drawing, we need to find the halfway mark of the shoe. So someone already made a line last year. Test it to make sure it's the same and it's actually the halfway, because don't trust someone else's work. Okay, so that is the actual halfway mark. If you want, you can make a light mark, just make sure you wash it off when you're done. So there's my halfway. Next step is to find the back of the shoe. How high up does it go? We know how high it goes here, but we don't know how high to draw it here. It needs to be proportionate. Okay, so a good way to do this is to measure the back of your shoe and compare it. So it's not quite half, it's less. If you don't trust your fingers, again, use your pencil. So I'd say about there. Put it up here. Make sure it's level. It's higher, or it's lower than half. So I know it's not quite half. Now I can take this measurement, compare it to the back, and I know it just needs to be less than that. So if this is halfway, this mark up here, I know it needs to be less than that. And I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay? So now we have the height of the back of our shoe. Remember, this is just a guideline. If later we find we need to move it up just a little bit to make it look better, we will. After we find the back of the shoe, we need to find how high up the toe of the shoe goes in comparison to the back. One good way to do that is to put your ruler according to the back of the shoe and compare it. Where does it line up over here? So we have to make sure it's lined up here to match it up back here. So I'd say it's about halfway up the back. So I can make a mark halfway up the back. And I'm going to make a line that's parallel to this bottom line. So I'm going to draw a line. You don't have to use a ruler. I'm just doing it for speed. then I know the front of my shoe has to fit somewhere in this area. Okay? And this is the top. Back of the shoe, front of the shoe. Next, we need to find how high up does the shoe go. If we take our pencil, we can see that it's angled. If we make our pencil parallel to the bottom of the shoe, we can see that it's higher up than the back of the shoe here. Okay? So we know that the top of the shoe needs to be somewhere in this area. Above the shoe. Above this. Above here. Same here. Above. Now we need to find where is the highest part of the shoe. So according to this, it's before the halfway mark. If this is the halfway mark, it's not here at the halfway mark, it's back here. So if this is my halfway mark, I know it's back here somewhere. So this is the top of my shoe. Okay. Now I need to find the slope of my shoe. The slope of the shoe, you can get a better visual. This shoe is not flat on the ground. It slopes down. So I need to be able to draw that. It starts sloping from the halfway mark ever so gently and goes up. So I need to do the same thing. So halfway mark, and gently slopes up, and the front of the toe curls in. It's not a square, so I'm going to make the front of my toe curl in. Just like that. And if we need to change it up a little bit later, we can. Clean up our lines so we don't get confused. And there we go. We can also see that this shoe has a curve to it. So it's sitting like this. It's not too much of a curve, but this should not be completely flat. So we can curve it just a little and have it come back down. Okay. Back of the shoe, same thing as the front. It curves. So we're going to curve the back of the shoe. Top of the shoe, already have it drawn. We're going to curve it. Now we can see that part of this bumps out. So we are going to make sure our sole is thick enough. If you're not sure, compare it. How many times does it go in the back? 1, 2, 3. So we need to break this into 3 sections. So this is not high enough. Again, that's how many times does this part right here go into the back of the shoe? 1, 2, 3. So we need to break this into 3. 1, 2, 3. So actually the back of it should go about here. That curve comes down and meets the bottom. And you can see I left a gap in between. Now we need to do the curve from the top of the shoe all the way down. And we're going to stare at our object and we're going to draw how we see it. Not too bad. I can actually dip this part down just a little bit more. There we go. After we have that, I need to draw from here to the back of the shoe. Don't worry about getting every single detail right away. And it's starting to look like a shoe. A bigger shoe, but it's proportionate. Last thing we want to do is we want to draw these details here. The sole of the shoe. If you look, it has the same curve as down below. So you need to draw a line that's parallel to the bottom of the shoe. What that's going to look like, let's start from this end. It's going to curve around the shoe. So it's going to look like it's coming from this side over here. Come down, same distance apart from here. All the way to the end of the shoe, or front of the shoe. And that's that.